have a couple of things that we couldn't travel with that we put in a small storage unit. But for the most part, we sold a lot of our belongings: shoes, clothes, silverware, pots and pans, everything that comes with an apartment. We just decided to let it go.
We put things on Facebook Marketplace. People were interested, but then, they all fold at the last minute. So we were stressing about clearing everything out the day prior to our flight, actually. We hired a small moving company. They came in the morning.
To keep it real, we left a lot of stuff at the curb because we just couldn't take it with us. We had to just let it go to make room for new areas in our life.
You had to think about priority. So for me, my PlayStation was definitely coming. So that was the first thing I packed.
My name is Afia.
And I'm Daniel.
And we are the Andrews. Hello, I'm Afia.
I'm Daniel.
And together we are the Andrews.
As you can see, we like to be very organized and show off our shoes too.
So this is actually a shoe rack that someone built by hand here in Ethiopia. We gave him the measurements and he was just able to make this masterpiece. So we are very grateful to him.
Yeah, and it also gets us to display our pictures too. This is a daily reminder as we walk in, our love for each other and, our fashion sense.
And at the top, here are some paintings that we acquired over our travels. I believe this one is from Zanzibar, and this one here is from Tanzania, the main island, mainland.
Yeah, and our coats are kind of cultural as well. There are some patterns that you see throughout Ethiopia. This was for my birthday from my team, the best team at the school. There was a gift to me, and I've worn it a couple of times. I don't want to, mess it up, but it's pretty dope, right?
Okay. This is actually one of my favorite bags. This is something that I acquired when I was in Ghana. I have a couple other bags to match it too, so you rarely will see me without this bag. Let's see. And this bag is another bag I have with an African print. This is actually from Mali. This is also my gym bag.
I don't have one. I'm working on it. It's gonna be dope.
I've lived here for nearly a year. I think in about 2 weeks, we'll come up on our 1-year mark. We were the first residents to live inside of this building. It's brand new. Also our first time in life ever living in a brand new building. So we were very excited to move in here.
Yeah, we have a dishwasher.
We didn't have that in Brooklyn.
We didn't have that back home.
Did not have that in
Pretty
Brooklyn.
excited about that.
Although it is very difficult to get the dishwashing solution for this, we are very grateful to have a dishwasher. So this might sound strange, but I always knew that I would end up living in Africa. From the time that I was a child, I was raised in a very Afrocentric school district. My parents always made sure that I was aware of my African heritage. So coming to Africa, living in Africa, always was a final destination for me. Before coming here, I came to know a girl who was becoming an international educator. I met her when I was traveling in Ghana, and she talked a lot about the benefits of becoming an international educator. She, at the time, was about to start teaching in Kenya, and she told me that I really need to come, to leave America because of the stress, because of so many things that are there. And I thought about it for a long time. At the time, Daniel and I had just gotten engaged, and I was very nervous about talking to him about leaving the country. I wondered how we would stay engaged if I decided I wanted to leave and he wants to stay here he wanted to stay in the US. So I was hesitant for a long time about even having the discussion with him. When I finally worked up the nerve to talk to him about it, he was really not on the same page as me. His family wasn't on the same page either. I remember him telling me about how his family members thought that it would be a bad idea. Originally, we planned to work at a school in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Things did not go as planned at the time, and we ended up accepting positions in Saudi Arabia. Although this wasn't our first choice, we were excited to leave the country. So we sold all of our belongings, we packed up our Brooklyn brownstone, put some things in storage, and 1 month after we got married, remember we had to move up the date?
I remember.
We ended up having to move up the date of our wedding because we had to leave the country. That was a very scary time in our lives, but honestly, I'm really glad that we made this decision. We also have our own milk maker here, which is where I make my almond milk or sometimes some cashew milk.
If you look up, we have cereal from back home. Can't really show it, but that's something. Yeah, we actually had to ship out of Ethiopia to get. So shout out to my sister for sending that to me.
Yeah, and I cannot live without gluten-free bread, gluten-free, dairy-free. So those type of things are very difficult to get here in Ethiopia. So we have to outsource that and pay a higher rate for imports.
What is that up there?
That is, I think that was my Valentine's Day gift.
That was your birthday gift. Birthday gift.
That was a birthday gift from Daniel. I haven't had the heart to open it because it looks just so beautiful together. So I just keep it right there at the top.
Yeah, I was actually in India. So, quick story. We went to a bazaar here, and I had to hide it from her. So I asked a co-worker to hide it in the apartment until her birthday. I was actually in India for training, ready to work, and I made sure that it was delivered to her on her birthday.
So we also like to get magnets from any country that we travel to. So on this side of the refrigerator, we keep all of our magnet collection. We've got Ethiopia, Thailand, this was in Rome, Italy, this was in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, Kenya, Zanzibar, Malaysia, Portugal, London in the UK, Qatar, Greece, Italy, Toscana, Italy, and Barcelona, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and our honeymoon in the Maldives. So we try to just keep a record of some of the places that we've been and to get a magnet to kind of remind us of the good times that we spent there.
Definitely.
Another one of the things that brought us to Ethiopia was this young lady right here. For the past 11 years, I have sponsored a child in Ethiopia. And when we got the chance to come here, I was just elated to finally meet her and to have a working relationship with her rather than just be her sponsor. So I'm really excited for Rahel. I think I had quite a few of those moments.
Just one? I don't think it's just one.
Quite a few. I had quite a few of those moments where I felt like this can't be life. This is not what God has for me. Mm-hmm. This can't be it. I would say was the time when I spent in Ghana in 2021. I met a girl. Her name was Brittany Caldwell. And she told me about all the benefits of being an international educator. And it just clicked for me. God told me at the time that something special and significant was going to happen on this trip. And I'm so glad that I took it because it was at that time when I realized I have to go. God is calling me elsewhere.
I think for me, it was more so COVID. When COVID hit, the world changed. Your personal environment changed as well. I think for me too, it was where Kobe Bryant passed away. And I realized that, life is really short. If someone who had all this money, all these possessions was vulnerable to death at any time, what about me? What does that say about my life? So it was where I had to make a choice, right? It's either I keep living the same way or make the most out of it. I tried to change schools as a teacher, but that didn't work out. So I think God was telling me, don't stay within the same environment. Because where I wanted to work was actually a 5-minute walk from my apartment. So it would have been convenient, but I don't think I would have been less miserable, right? So just reflecting about his death, COVID, anything could have happened. And I was driving, walking, just reflecting constantly. And around that time, we were dating, but we weren't dating yet. No, sorry, we weren't dating yet. We was always like spending time together, but I actually let my feelings out.
So we were also co-workers before we got married.
Yeah.
We are co-workers. Now he is my real and work husband.
Yeah.
And this is our third school together.
Yeah, start third school together. That was a catalyst for change. And you know, after a while too, doing the same thing every day, it takes a toll on you. It gets boring. I'm talking about work-wise. And then if people around you are not motivated to do more as well, you kind of get stuck. So I felt like, again, I had to get out. It was just my body was rejecting entering that space.
I remember being at school late one day. Daniel and I would stay at school late to lesson plan and to grade papers together. And I swear I hear this voice. It was just like the movie. It said, "Get out, get out, get out." And I really feel like that was God telling me to leave America.
Come over here, we have a little bit of cultural visual pieces as well. We have stools that reflect the art of Addis Ababa or Ethiopia in general. Kids were very comfortable. We were able to give an artist the measurements of what exactly we wanted, and it came out perfectly.
And these were actually handmade here in Ethiopia. We picked out the pattern, and he just made this come to life.
Yeah, he went to the fabric store, did his thing, was delivered in about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I was in our apartment.
Yeah, the craft and artistry here is really amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Can't live without Alexa. There are a few within the apartment. Helps with our scheduling, reminders, and just to have the ambiance, you know, in the living room as we're just chilling, play some music, you know, watch some sports highlights, you know. This is our assistant.
And also, we shipped this here from the U.S. to kind of remind us of our life back in Brooklyn. When we were in Brooklyn, I had a brownstone that also had a fireplace. So this definitely reminds me of our time there and helps us to remember home. These are just some wedding pictures that we took from Dubai. We had a great time there. Reminds us so much of home. The beach and the sand. So we really had a great time doing these pictures.
Yeah, a few of them are from our actual wedding day. These two up here. This was on our cake.
Topper. Yeah.
This one is my favorite while we were in Dubai. It kind of give you like the perspective of, you know, I'm in the background supporting, you know, and then she's in the forefront. So it's pretty dope.
Okay. So another thing that we were really grateful for when we moved here was just a little bit of outdoor space. Our apartment also comes with a beautiful balcony. Right out here. We've got a great view of here. If you look further along in the distance, you can see in Toto Mountains and the rich history that's there. So very lush here. So a little bit more of the soft life. This is my home massage chair. For the first time in my life, I'm able to have a masseuse that comes weekly to give us massages whenever we feel stressed. So I also ship this here from the US.
Hey Web Nation family, for years we've been sharing stories of diasporans who have relocated from the diaspora and currently living here on the continent of Africa. You guys have been enjoying the episode, saying in the comment section that you want this to be you one day. Why don't we just bring that time to now? We are inviting you to come on a trip with us to South Africa in November 2026. This is going to be an 11-day experience of we visiting cities like Cape Town, Johannesburg. We having experiences like going to the wine lands and actually experiencing South Africa, the people, the food. This is not just a vacation. This is a very well detailed experience that gives you the proper insight on people interested in relocating. The beautiful part about this is we've made it easy for you to come on this trip with us. By you just making the deposit, you get to pay the rest in installment and get yourself on a trip with us to South Africa. Scan the QR code, secure your spot, and see you in South Africa. Now guys, let's get back into the video.
I felt like I was running towards peace. I felt like I was running towards sanity. I felt like I was running towards better health, sane mind, less stress. I think that's what I was running towards. When I was in New York, I had very intense health problems. I wasn't getting a good night's rest. I was always at work. I wasn't able to spend a lot of time with my friends and family. I felt like all I did was work, 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 just like Rihanna.
We were running towards a better future, financial flexibility and stability. At first for me, like I've stated earlier, I wasn't comfortable with the idea. Living in Africa, could be an experience, compared to someone that grew up in the United States of America. So I was very hesitant, but now that we've arrived and spent 1 year here in Addis Ababa, like I'm in love with it. I'm learning the language, I feel connected to the locals, and I feel hesitant to even move back home at times because of the experience that we had here so far.
For me, I always knew that I would end up here. I always knew that my final destination would be Africa in some part. Growing up in elementary school, my brothers and I used to joke that we didn't get out for Christmas break. We got out for our Kwanzaa break. We had Black History contests. We had many events where we were very, very cognizant of our African heritage. So for me, coming back to Africa was always the plan. In addition to living in Ethiopia, I have spent a lot of time in Ghana. That is actually where I changed my name. I was born Christina, but now I go by the name Afia. I studied abroad at the University of Ghana at Legon. I planted a church home there. For me, this was just the natural course of action for me.
The building doesn't have heat, so we had to buy a small heater just to, feel a little warm during the nighttime. Just in addition to the small fireplace that's there, so and it rotates, so it helps when we're both in the same space, so we both feel the heat.
This was also another surprise when we moved to Ethiopia. None of the buildings come with heat or any type of radiator at all. That was very different to our life in New York. You would think that because we're moving to Africa, we really wouldn't have a need for a heater, but it's actually a little chilly. And buildings they don't come with any air conditioning or any heating. So you have to provide your own, or plan for that if you were to move here. And this is our bedroom. This is where it all goes down.
Whoa, what are you talking about?
This is where it all goes down. This is the best bread that we had made in Saudi Arabia. And here is our laundry basket. Take this out. This was actually handmade, again, by someone here in Ethiopia. I think this takes the process maybe close to a week or two to make. I gave them the colors and I told them how tall I wanted it to be. They were able to just make it happen for a fraction of the cost that I would spend in the US.
And I know when you enter the room, your eyes were fixated by the beautiful painting. It's actually an original, but it's secondhand for us. We bought it off a coworker who was transitioning back to the US. So as you can see, it captures the beauty of Ethiopia. It has the colors of the flag, and of course, it's a Black woman. So.
And she's also wearing her Ethiopian dress and scarf over her eyes. So this reminds us a lot about the life in Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm. As soon as we saw it and it was up for sale, we said we had to buy it.
Yes.
Had to buy it. And it's one of the centerpieces of the room. And it brings it to life.
Here is the vision board that I have been creating for some time now. Hoping to meet some of my goals, to purchase a new home, to work out more often, get better sleep, have multiple streams of income, build a family, and just live life in abundance. And a little bit of soft life things here, like traveling, eating better, starting a new job, having multiple streams of income.
We each have our own closet, which was quite different from back home.
We were sharing
a lot of the spaces. We had to convert some spaces into closet space. So just to have our own, and I could just be able to open it and not see, my wife's belongings. It's a good feeling sometimes.
Apartments in Brooklyn are small. you got to make do, you got to share space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having your own closet is a bit of a luxury.
Yeah.
So when we came here, we were shocked.
Very shocked.
Shocked by the size of the apartment, shocked by the balcony. We were thinking, if this was New York, we will be paying a good 3-4 G's for this place.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so glad that we are here because we're not paying for it at all.
Yeah.
This is the bathroom that's attached to the bedroom, also known as sometimes like the master bath, but I don't like to use that word. It's 2 sinks. So his and her sink. We've got a shower space on the left side. It's got the rainfall top. It also has the spout at the end, and the water also drips out at the bottom. And then on the other side of the bathroom, there's also the tub. Has a full tub with the same rainfall spout at the top and the same spot at the end. I was also fortunate to get one of these. I love these. I love these. I love these. The sponge that you bathe with. It's similar to a loofah, but the netting is different. It helps with a lot of exfoliation. It helps with keeping your skin clean. And I do feel a lot more refreshed and cleaner when I come out of the shower, as opposed to the rags that I was using in Brooklyn. I also come across companies that make their own soap here. Turmeric soap, cinnamon soap. Has an amazing effect on the body and an amazing effect on the skin. My skin has actually cleared up a lot since I've been in Ethiopia.
It was in May of 2024.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. We left Saudi with about 20 pieces of luggage because we were moving early. A co-worker actually allowed us to place our luggage in their basement. So shout out to Wendy if she's watching this. Thank you for that. When we first touched down, you could kind of feel like that initial connection to not just us being black, but you know, that's the origin of life. So I've never felt that feeling before until I reached down in Ethiopia. And I tell the people all the time, they're very beautiful. Like I tell them all the time, like, haba se sewak, betam konjo nachu. So I'm basically saying, like, you know, the people here are very beautiful. The culture is very beautiful. The food is great. So I can't say too much about it.
For me, I felt just an immediate connection to the culture, to the lifestyle. When I first got off the plane, I did expect it to be a bit warmer because when you're in the U.S., you think, oh, you're going to Africa? It's going to be very, very hot. Right now, we're in Ethiopia. We're in high in the mountains and next to Entoto Mountains. So I did expect it to be warmer, but it's actually kind of cooler. Here, the weather is a steady range between 65 to 75 degrees. So I was very grateful for that. But I felt immediate connection to the people. Everyone was always very welcoming. They welcome you home. They call you sister. So I loved it from the jump. This is our pantry.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a bit of closet space here. 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves, space for water, space for all of our cleaning supplies, space for all of our supplements, space for a ladder. You can really do a lot with this room. This was never a part of our life living in New York. It was just a big, smaller space.
Right. Or even back home, you have to pay for a storage unit. So just to have something quite similar inside the apartment definitely goes a long way.
So we're really grateful for this space right here.
Right. A typical pantry back home will probably be about half the size, or even something. See, that's Ethiopia.
Part of living in Africa.
That's part of living in Addis, which is cool. So you will have to pay for something quite similar outside of the apartment. So a smaller storage unit, maybe about $120 a month. So to have it free and to have it inside the apartment definitely goes a long way.
Okay. On to bedroom number 2.
Our office space / bedroom number 2 / my game room
/ guest room. All those slashes.
Yeah, so we have certain things that help to keep me busy. Like I said before, I have my PlayStation here. I have a gaming monitor. You can check out a shelf that was actually handmade. The same person who built the shoe rack, he was able to make this just to hold, some accessories and to help declutter the space. I play guitar, like I said before, so my guitar is just chilling over here for a little bit. It's been collecting dust, but I tuned it up a few days ago, so maybe I'll play for you guys before this video is over. So what I like to do in the morning, I just come in just to like declutter my mind. I'll journal on my tablet, which is covered in a few stickers that reflect how I feel about students with disabilities. Got it from a coworker. I was part of like a surprise before our meeting. But like I said, I turned the dust off the guitar for a little bit, so maybe I'll play a little song. Just I'll hop up here for a little bit. Hopefully it's still tuned. Oh wait, I forgot. Forget the chords. Wait. I haven't played in a long time.
Okay.
I got it. See, I just need a little bit of a little more. If you recognize that song, put it in the comments. So we have a smaller bathroom which serves as my bathroom in a sense. It's
Also his
my
bathroom cave.
My little bathroom cave. So you can see like a little bit of my personality. Just a daily reminder of things that I should be doing and like important words to me. My name is Daniel, so biblically in the lion's den, so just to show that daily strength, and that relation to God. I have a painting of that. So I'm a huge Yankees fan. So just to have a connection to back home, I have some of my favorite players' numbers on the wall, just to remind me of Yankee Stadium or the team itself, because I don't get to see them as much. I'll probably have to wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning here just to watch a game. So just to have those numbers just remind me of home, just, so I don't miss it as much.
So for me, right now, I survive on a budget of about the equivalent of $700 for each month. Our housing is covered, so that takes away a large chunk of our expenses. So for me, I think I spend the equivalent of about $50 a week on groceries and food, which was not possible living in New York. We also learned to make a lot of things at home, which reduces the cost. I think I spend about $45 a month on my hair, maybe $20, the equivalent of about $20 for my nails, to go out and have dinner with friends or to go out and do those things. I may pay $20 a week, if we go out. The cost of living is a lot less, and there are a lot more weeks where I'll be able to save more money. So that was just such a good thing. We're really grateful for that.
Back home, we were paying a car note,
Yeah.
paying monthly rent, car insurance.
Oh, well, our rent at that time when we were living in our Brooklyn brownstone, our rent was about $16.50 when we left. And that was a deal.
That was a great deal.
And we also had our utilities on top of that. I think we were paying about $200 for the internet, the Wi-Fi, and the phone. I paid, my car note was expensive because I was driving a Mercedes-Benz. That was, I think, about $400 or so a month. The insurance on top of that was close to $1,000. It was just a lot of money.
It was too much.
We weren't able to, sometimes we had more month than check. So we weren't able to save.
Yeah. So I was paying about the equivalent for the car insurance and car note, about $500. We were having a delivery service for food called Hello Fresh, and that cost a little bit as well. I think it was about $100 a month. So it was actually on a trial basis, so we didn't keep it going as much, but it was still quite expensive. I was doing DoorDash on the side. I was earning about an extra $200 a month to pay for my hair, which cost about $150 a month. I was buying clothes, which cost about $200 a month as well. I wasn't really budgeting that great. Food in the morning, we'll buy things from the deli that cost about $60 a week.
That's true.
That included coffee, sandwiches, snacks throughout the day, lunch. Sometimes we order out for dinner, and that was maybe about $200 a month as well. There was no way to save because of the monthly expenses. Here, I probably spend about the equivalent of $400, $500 a month.
Well, here we're no longer driving, so that does take away from our expenses. Our costs, our rent is covered, so that takes away as well. We really just have to take care of ourselves and also cover any past bills that we still have
Right.
from the United States.
That's where the money is really going.
Yeah. So this came to about 1,340 birr, which is about
That's it.
$8 to $9 in the US. That's avocados, that was watermelon, that was string beans, that was pineapple,
hard.
it was a whole bunch of fruit. So in the US, we're used to taking Lyft and Uber. Here in Ethiopia, they have a Ferris app and they have a ride app, which is not quite exactly the same. Usually when we call a ride, they call us back and to ask where we are going, and sometimes how to get there, which is a bit frustrating for me as a New Yorker because we're on the place and we gotta go. But it's a close second. The cost of ride is about a third of the cost that we will be paying in the United States. So I'm grateful for that. Daily routine, since Daniel and I are teachers, we wake up early, usually around 5:30. We have a longer school day than what we had back in Brooklyn. We work from 7:30 to 4:30. So we spend our time most of our time is spent at the school. After school, we usually try to get an hour of working out, exercising in.
2 hours.
2 hours for him. I'm not quite at that level yet. But then we come home. This is also the first time in our life that we were able to have a housekeeper. Usually I've been the housekeeper. We usually take care of our own place. This time we have someone who's able to cook and clean for us. So we are very grateful for that. And we're very grateful that we can afford it. Because if we were in New York, we wouldn't be able to do this at all. So after that, we usually have dinner, watch some TV. On the weekends, we try to go out with our friends. We'll go out to restaurants. There are nice bars and I think some places to go out and dance, get our hair done, nails done, gym as well. We're a member of a church here. I feel like it's similar to our life in New York, but there's some things that we aren't able to do from New York.
Right. I think the working out or exercising has been more consistent. I've been able to play video games, get back into, art, and just actually do those things after school. It's not easy working out after a long day like that, but because we each have our own workout groups, we are motivated to, come and join and have that camaraderie around our fellow gym mates. So it's been nice having that routine set, because back home, you have to pay for a gym membership. We actually have a gym on campus, so it's easier for us to visit the gym more consistent, more regularly.
And being at the school that we're in, we're able to come into contact with people from all over the world. I've met people from Australia, from New Zealand, from the UK, from Spain. from China, all into the world, which is an opportunity that we would have never had we stayed in New York. We also get a lot of opportunities to travel. Given that we're teachers, we have breaks. So we have visited Kenya, we have visited Tanzania, we have visited Ghana, we have visited Greece, Rome, France,
Maldives.
Yeah, that was our honeymoon. Portugal. So I know that if we were still teaching in Brooklyn, we would not have those opportunities. We wouldn't be able to afford it. And I also don't think that we would also have the time.
No, back in Brooklyn, I've only been on a plane to go to Florida. That was the only experience I had. And since we've left the U.S., we've been able to travel a lot more. So I've been thankful for that as well.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, my passport, I ran out of pages in my passport before it expired. So that was just a blessing to us.
Yeah. So I will guess you can say our daily routine consists of finding different places to travel to now. You could do
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I would say it's much slower. Back in New York, everything is fast paced. So you can walk into a restaurant or like a corner store or bodega, and
no bacon, egg, and cheese no more.
You know, they know you by face.
No
so they'll have
cheese.
your order ready to go. It's in and out, right? But here they make everything to order. So an omelet that would take maybe 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes back home, it will take about 15 minutes. Because it's a little like less relaxed here, I would say. Things are less expensive. You can go out. If you want to go out for drinks, a margarita that may cost about $16 back home, it's probably about $3 here. So you can have a great time on a Friday after work.
Have fun. You can afford to do things that we were never able to do. Like I go for weekly massages now that I could never afford when I was in New York. I couldn't afford it. It was just the cost of living in New York was just way too high. And to come here and to have things at a fraction of the cost was just such a blessing.
Even to retwist our hair back home, like for a retwist, a wash, and a style will cost nearly about $200. But here I'm only paying about, a fraction of that. So I'm
$250
grateful
for me with these sister locks.
Grateful
here,
for that.
We pay like $45.
So it's way more cheaper.
Affordable here.
And affordable, yeah.
I would say here, Ethiopia is unique in that they don't always follow the same system of time. They don't always follow the same system of counting years. So right now it's 2018 in Ethiopia. They have a different date for the birth of Christ. So that date is off for us. That took some time to get used to. Also, they don't follow a 24-hour clock. I still have yet to adapt myself to that. So we are getting used to adding and subtracting 6 hours to adjust to the time that's here. I'm adjusting to eating with your hands, injera, eating rice with your hands. I never thought I would do that. A lot of things were a big change.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's more so the visual representation of things. I'll explain. So Addis Ababa is a beautiful city, but you also see cultural things. Like you'll see animals walking on the roads, or during celebrations, you'll see the day after the celebration,
bones,
animal bones in the street, and it's natural and ordinary for the community here, but for someone that's used to seeing those animals only on the farm,
in the zoo,
or in the zoo, and you see them up close, it was definitely different. The timing system, and anywhere you go, like when you don't know the language and English is very limited, it's going to be very difficult to communicate. So being thankful for having Google. And having those visuals to kind of communicate was very helpful at first.
Yeah, sheep.
Oh yeah.
Goats.
Hey, one night someone just left a sheep outside of our house, tied up. They didn't ask. We just heard noises, And we were walking to work, and we just saw the sheep there.
I'm like, come get your sheep.
What's going
How you just
on?
leave your sheep outside? Like, it's making noises all night long. Like, come get your sheep.
It was just there.
Remember, like, during a lot of Ethiopian holidays, they usually kill an animal and they roast it. So
Right.
one day we saw, you know, a bull. We've seen cow, chicken bones,
Right.
goat,
Right.
sheep. It's a regular occurrence,
Right.
which was very different to our life in Brooklyn.
Yeah, so city life back home, you don't see that. You'll see mostly pigeons, dogs, and cats. But to see wild animals just as you walk into a building, like, you know, it's developed. But to have that connection was very very weird to see, different, I should say.
That was a lot of settling in was a bit of trial and error here. So with our school that we work in, our housing is covered, so that is good. We didn't have to seek our own housing. Before living in this apartment, we lived in a house not too far away. That took a little bit of getting used to because here in Ethiopia, there are frequent power outages. And whenever we would lose power, we would lose Wi-Fi, we would also lose water. So there'll be times when, you know, the power will go out and we lose everything. We'll just be sitting at each other in the dark, in the cold, wondering how we could get some more, how we could get our lights back on. We got used to paying for, we did not initially have our utilities covered. So we got used to having to find the system to have water deposited in the reservoir, to pay for the electricity. We also had 2 guards that stood outside of our home. So all that was brand new to us. And we really didn't have a lot of guidance when it comes to those things. I had to find a place that would do my hair. I have a unique type of dreadlocks called sister locks. So there aren't a lot of places here that offer that. When we were in Saudi Arabia, it was non-existent. So that took some time to get used to. I had to find a hair salon, a nail salon. We found a church. We found a place to get our fruits and vegetables from. We found a supermarket. All that took some time. We found friends. Some that are local, some that are also co-workers at our school. So all those things took time to get used to. Sometimes not having to get meat from the supermarket. There are other places that people go to find meat, especially cow meat, the beef, goat meat, all those type of things. The butcher is not, it's not the same as what we did in the United States. So all that took a lot of time to get used to, a lot of ways to settle in.
Yeah, adjusting was definitely an experience. I remember we actually used to take a taxi to work, not knowing we could walk a 5-minute trip to the campus. So
we didn't know our way.
We didn't know it was simply right around the corner. So just getting used to your surroundings. Again, like I said, the language barrier was difficult at first. We've come a long way with the language, so we can
learned
understand.
A lot of Amharic.
We can
took
understand
classes.
How to communicate a little bit better. We're getting there. We're not perfect yet, but we'll get there. We're not fluent as yet. And just, you know, as Afia said, finding the right markets, finding places that sold things at a reasonable price, and, you know, just finding people who would help you very consistently, and, you know, just being very welcoming. And to those who are watching, thank you for being welcoming and taking us around the city and teaching us where to go, how to say certain things. That was very helpful to communicate with the locals.
Also, when we first arrived, it was what Ethiopia calls their winter season or rainy season. So it was rainy every day. We didn't expect for it to be rainy every day, but it was rainy a good 85% of the day.
Yeah.
We had to go out and get the rubber boots. We didn't really spend that much time outside. It was very cold, which was a surprise for us. So that took a lot of time to get used to. Oftentimes when you're in the US, you think of Africa, you think it's going to be very hot year round, you know, a lot of humidity. It was not that.
Yeah.
Not that at all.
And coming from Saudi too, there was Amazon available. So coming to Ethiopia, where there's not, there's a system similar, but it's not exactly Amazon. And on the way here, I lost my bag. I
Oh
lost
man,
a
still
full
talking about this
suitcase.
bag. Let it go.
I lost a full suitcase full of shoes, right? So to adjust to the rainy season was difficult. I didn't have my rubber boots that were in the bag. I didn't have my sneakers, my shoes,
Didn't
my
have no
boots.
shoes.
So I wore the same shoes for about 2 months every day because it wasn't available. So
Yeah.
that was hard. That was part of the experience too.
One of the
So,
hardest things here for us to get, you were very much accustomed to having like American items. There's no Amazon here. We don't have all those things. So we had to adapt as well. We had to learn to purchase things here. We had to have some things shipped here. Shout out to my friend Nadia. Thank you for everything. But that took a long time for us to get used to, just being able to be flexible and to learn to live without some things, or learn to make some things on your own that you aren't able to find here. Like I had to learn to make almond milk because I don't like to drink the regular cow's milk, or to make cheeses out of other things rather than cow's milk because it's just simply not a thing here. I had to learn to deal with other things besides like agave. That's not a thing here. Mushrooms are not a thing here. You have to learn to adapt. You have to learn to be a bit flexible so that you can enjoy the lifestyle that you now live.
yeah, there's no McDonald's.
Let it go.
No, I'm not saying to let it go. I'm just saying like there's no McDonald's. So at first it was, a little disappointing, but then like I'm grateful that it's not here to eat like less processed foods, and that's been better for our overall health. So
There's also no Starbucks here. A lot of people that come here, they
Let
look
it
for
go.
those things. Starbucks here, but I feel like the Ethiopian coffee that's here is 1,000 times better than that. So it was easy to let certain things go and to adapt to what is here, to take advantage of the resources that are here, to make a life for yourself, and to enjoy everything that Ethiopia has to offer. You have more time. I feel as if I have a lot more time now that I had when I was back in the US. I was stressed and I was working 3 jobs. There would be days where I didn't see Daniel. I didn't come home because I had my overnight job.
the whole weekend.
Yeah, the whole weekend. I really wasn't around during the weekends because I was always at work. I had, even if I wasn't at work, I had to lesson plan. I did work at the library. I was tutoring. So I was never really around. Now I feel like I have a bit more time to live the soft life. I can go to the spa. I can go to the salon. I can hang out with friends and not feel so guilty about it. So I really do feel good about this move to Ethiopia.
Definitely. I get a pedicure about once a month. Listen, that's one of the highlights for me. Just somebody just scrubbing your foot, cutting your nails. It's very relaxing. So yeah, and haircuts too. Haircuts back home. Last summer, just a trim around, like a lineup, shape up, it's about $35. And here I'm paying maybe a third of that if you convert birr to dollars. So and it's been consistent. So just to know that I could afford maybe that every week instead of doing it 3 weeks or bi-weekly back home makes us a big difference. Definitely. I mean, especially when you use the language, they get so excited.
True. No Ferengi.
So I'll greet our community really fast. So salam nachu and de nachu, wede yenya bet ekwande na metachu.
It's so good to be surrounded by people who look like me, who have experiences like me, who can tell me all about the rich historical culture of Ethiopia. Ethiopia was one of the only African countries that were never colonized. So that always drew me here. That culture always drew me here. The culture of, the Emperor Haile Selassie, the Rastafari movement was always very dear and special to my heart. So when I come here and people greet me in Amharic just the way that Daniel did, it feels like just like such a blessing here. My heart is filled, and I feel so connected to those around me in a way that I felt like I could never do when I was in New York.
It's the people. They're very welcoming. They're very caring. If you miss one day of work, everyone's asking you
honey.
Are you okay? What happened? If we could do anything, and they actually do it. Back in New York, people would say, "Oh, if you need something, let me know." And that's not a knock to people. You know, we're busy with our lives, but here it's been a different experience. If you ask them to do something when you're not feeling well, chances are
do it.
they'll come through.
Yeah, it's a big, a brotherhood, a sisterhood here, family nature. People take care of each other. You know, that's very true.
They're very loving, yeah. So back home, it was definitely different because our income is taxed, right? Depending on where you live. So New York state taxes are very high. Very high. So when I first started as a teacher, I was only earning between 60K and 75K, and then different contracts were settled by the New York government and with the teachers union. So it increased to 90 to 100K, but you weren't taking that home because of taxes. So you was taking about half of that, which is quite similar to what I'm earning now.
So people ask us, do we make more money here or did we make more money when we were living in New York? And for me, the answer is kind of a bit of yes and no. Because when we were living in New York, our gross pay was more and our net or take-home pay was a lot less. But now that we are here, our net pay is higher than when we were in New York. So because we're here and we are not paying U.S. taxes, our net pay is a lot higher. And we're able to take home more than we did when we were living in New York. And also because of the cost of living and our housing is covered, we don't have as many expenses or things to pay for now.
You're able to save a little bit more if you budget correctly, but at times some things are 3 times the price we will pay back home.
Those are usually items from the United States.
Right. So I remember one time I asked somebody to purchase a USB cord, and they were telling me to the equivalent of about $60, and I'm telling him I will pay $5.
Ain't nobody paying that
back in the U.S. So it's where you have to consider, okay, am I going to sacrifice this $60 and buy this thing that I need, or save that $60 and wait until I go back home to purchase it? So I think we're able to save more consistently. We have a routine. We're trying to save, how much would we say a month?
We can save, I would say we usually add about $500 each to an account back home.
Yeah.
And because we're working at our school, we're able to kind of split our income and send money back home to the U.S. in a U.S. bank account, as well as have an account here in Ethiopia and save money here too.
Save money that way.
I feel like I also have extra money that I'm able to invest in my retirement or into stocks and bonds that I felt like I really was unable to do because I was always trying to save money for the rent, for car notes, for everyday expenses and utilities and groceries. I just wasn't able to do it. And now that we're here and we are a little bit relaxed more with our life and our savings, we're able to do a bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, you don't feel as guilty for the sacrifice like you'll feel back home. You know, sometimes during back home, I was paying rent before we moved in together. I was spending about $1,500 for a small studio apartment. And there were times where I didn't eat. Like, I couldn't go grocery shopping because I had to pay rent. I had to pay my car notes. So I had to choose what was more important. So shout out to my younger sister, Kashina, for, making sure I ate, or I could go by her and just eat. And she gave me the key to her apartment. I could go in and, take some food when I needed to. So that was very grateful for that.
That's very real because sometimes you have to choose between paying your bills and eating when you're living in the U.S. People think that this is like the richest country in the world. Why are people still struggling there? I didn't understand it either. Why, we are educated individuals. Why are we still struggling? Why aren't we further along in our careers? Why aren't we making more money? Why is it like this? But I'm glad that we took a chance, took a risk, and we decided to just have a better lives for ourselves.
It definitely helps with the saving. It's not as stressful as it was back home.
Definitely more financially free. You know, we don't have the expenses and the costs for things that we once had. We don't have our car note anymore. Now we're either walking or taking taxis that were a fraction of the cost of living in New York. So those things are not a part of our budget anymore. It's just easier and less of a cost for us here living in Ethiopia.
I would say yes and no, because I still can't go out and say I'm gonna buy anything that I want. Like, I still have to be conscious of what I'm able to afford.
Still have to budget.
Yeah, you still have to be, you know, careful. I will say things are less expensive, but I won't say I'm financially free as of yet. Like, getting there, but you know, I can afford certain things, and like I said, some things are priced higher than normal because of the imported products, but not yet. Working there. Yeah, definitely. Because of the slower pace of life, we've extended ourselves to different projects. We actually have a YouTube page now.
Love lessons in luggage.
Yeah, we're trying to, like, you know, showcase our experiences as we're traveling, as a quite newly wedded couple.
Year 4.
Year 4. I'm working on a consultation business that I have ideas for. Like I said, I'm getting back into art. I can draw a little bit. I'll be modest. You know, playing my guitar and just, you know, finding inspiration around the city, because like I said, the city is very beautiful, and there's certain things that you see, even, you know, the African print that they have here, or the murals that they have, you find inspiration in the beauty, and you want to showcase that in different ways.
I'm also studying to become a reading specialist and develop my own tutoring company. I would say, given that it's a bit of a slower pace of life, I've learned to take time to smell the flowers, to take care of my health, to stop by and see a friend, to take life easily, you know, to make sure that my health is taken care of. I just wasn't able to do that when I was living in the United States. There's so much beauty out here. There's so much culture. As we travel to each part of the city, every day, I promise you, I learned something new that I fall in love with. So yes, I'm loving my time here. And I think that the culture in Ethiopia here is really one that is unique, unlike any other.
Yeah, I've been able to kind of reignite my passion for teaching. My co-workers especially have helped with that. The students that I have, I love them, I enjoy them. So the culture, it makes you want to, you know, give back in a sense. So to, you know that people actually care for you and you give that care back, it makes you feel connected, not just now, but forever in life. Let's go.
Get out.
Come.
Get out.
Just come.
Get out.
You don't need to pack anything. Just have your passport.
That's very true.
ID.
It's enough here.
Just come.
You don't need all of it.
Just come. And it doesn't have to be here specifically, but leave the U.S. If you feel like it's
Get your mind
time,
right.
you know, if you want to experience new cultures, to get your body right, to get your mind right, to get
leave the
away
stress.
from that,
The rat race.
the overwhelming feeling that you have every day, the misery, you have to leave. If you constantly fight yourself, it's only going to get worse. So
I
just
never
come.
felt like I belonged in the United States.
Yes.
And this wasn't ever our home.
Yeah.
We were meant to be here. Africa for the Africans.
So I'm reaching out to you. Grab my hand and come. Seriously.
Go now. The only thing I really regret was not doing it sooner, because I had other opportunities to do it and I kind of got cold feet and I didn't do it. So I would say, find it deep within yourself, get up and go now. You know, your life, this wasn't meant to be your life. You know, it wasn't meant for you to be this way. You weren't designed to be stressed. This just wasn't the life God had for me.
5 years to my former self, I would say, put down the McDonald's, put down the game controller, open Google, find, you know, maybe an international position or something that would help to relieve yourself of stress, misery, on the path to financial freedom. Don't hesitate, click on it, learn, and do it. Just do it.
Go for it. for it.
Go for it.
Nike, just do it. You're never going to be 100% ready.
You're
Don't be
never-
afraid of, the lies that people have told you about the other side of the world. It's not what you think.
Yeah.
It's really not. You can develop a home here. You can live here and be comfortable. In the U.S. we weren't. I can come here and live like a queen in ways that I was never able to do living in New York. So come.
Yeah.
Come.
There's-
Motherland is calling you.
Yeah, there's
Come.
no perfect timing, and there's always opportunity and opportunity, if that makes sense.